Hello, friends. Hello, friends. A tradition unlike any other.
Oh, my goodness. In your life, have you seen anything like that?
There it is! Adam Scott, a life changer. Mashed potato!
Here it comes.
This is the 19th Tee podcast. Kieran Marsh and Nathan Drudy back with you for another week. Drew's very excited again for our guest this evening. He is a return guest and one that's been in a fair bit of form, back-to-back third place finishes to kickstart his 2022. First and foremost, the Australian PGA, and then most recently over the weekend at the Queensland PGA. I speak, of course, of a young man who's also comfortably inside our top three, I would suggest, not just that of the Queensland PGA and the Australian PGA. That's young Louis Dobbelaar. Louis, welcome back to the 19th Tee. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, lads. It's good to be back, and it's good to be in that top three. Cheers.
I just want to put something to you off the top. Hypothetical, would you prefer to have back-to-back third place finishes or win a tournament and then miss the cut the following week?
I like to have a win. I think winning takes care of a lot.
Okay, well, I was hoping you might have a little bit of a dig at young Jed Morgan there, because he was a guest of ours last week, and I'm going to tell you there was a number of drive-bys on one Dobbelaar from Jed Morgan last week, and we'll get to that a little later, but I thought I'd give you a little opportunity off the top to return the fire, but you showed far more grace than your good mate.
No, that's he's a tough one to get words out of old Jed, but no, I think winning takes care of a lot, and it's a credit to the week he had out at RQ. He blew us all away.
Talk to us about, first and foremost, your most recent performance, and that was the Queensland PGA as a flagged a third place finish there at the newly renovated, refurbished Nudgee golf course. I suppose, first and foremost, what do you think of the course?
It's cool, yeah. It's I think Brisbane needed something a bit new. I feel like a few of our courses are, I guess, a bit more traditional, older style. I guess Nudgee's brought in a bit more of a, I guess, modernised, style of golf to Brisbane. So I think that's exciting for the future of Nudgee. I think a few people agree that the course probably isn't as mature as what they'd like for a tournament golf. But in saying that, I think the tournament did a really good job of presenting the course and presenting a great venue for us players. So no, it was a trip to be out there, and it was nice to be in my own bed for a week.
T3, outright third finish. I should mention they're 5 shots behind Anthony Quayle, the winner. It's a good start to 2022, mate. Obviously, as Marshy mentioned, up the top there, inside the top 5 in the first 2 tournaments of the year. It's a really good start. Sets you up well for what's to come this year.
Yeah, totally. I think I think I was talking about it with my coach Grant this morning. If someone told me I'd have back-to-back top thirds, I probably would have taken it, a couple of weeks ago. So it's a good sign of where my game's at, and I'm not too far away of some of these top players back here. So it's good to be amongst it, and it's good to get the competitive juices flowing again. As much as we haven't had a whole lot of golf back here, it's been nice to compete on home soil with a lot of good mates.
Tough conditions out there. Sorry, KM. I was just going to say tough conditions on Friday. Was it, Marshy? You were the weatherman on the field for me, Marshy.
Across the weekend, to be honest, but Friday was sideways wind.
Yeah, it was brutal out there. I had a really nice round going. I was a couple under with, I think, holes to go and finish even, and I was still stoked with that. Yeah, it was brutal. I think I moved up, probably 5 or 6 spots in that morning. So, that place can get windy. Obviously, being by the airport there, it's generally pretty consistent throughout the whole day. But I think it got windy as the day got on.
I was going to hold it for a little later in the chat, Louis, but you mentioned your coach, Grant Field. Is he walking about 4 foot taller at the moment? His table is on fire results-wise.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. I think he must be teaching us something pretty good, because he's got a few good blokes coming through.
Is it nice to probably get back a little bit of FaceTime as well? Obviously, you coach for a fair while now and you stay in touch no matter where you are in the world, but always nice to get a little bit of time back on home soil and get that FaceTime as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's, you can only do so much on FaceTime, and as much as it's better than nothing, I think being, face to face, you get a lot more, I guess, quality time and probably more accurate feedback. And yeah, it's just good to reconnect with everyone as well. Like, whether it's gran or family or whatever, it's been nice to catch up with everyone. It was a long 7 months away, so it's good to be back and around everyone, I guess.
We'll talk a bit about what's happened across the past 7 months, but I'm curious to know what your approach and your goals are for this year specifically, because you've tasted some success. It was I think, almost a successful overseas trip by any measure for you, particularly the States, and obviously got your status in the PGA Tour of Latin America, which you're staring down the barrel of in 2022, and pending results across the remainder of the summer. You're sitting currently in third on the Australasian Order of Merit with the top three guaranteed a tour card for the European Tour. So all of a sudden, there's a lot of doors opening for Louis. What were the goals, I suppose, to start the year and where you hope to see yourself progress in the next couple of months?
I think, the goal is, every week is to try and win, and over a season is to try lead an Order of Merit. So I think that's, obviously the last few weeks has changed a few things, but I think, obviously with the tokens of, I guess the pathways within the Australasian Tour, I think I need to think a little bit more wise about how the rest of my year looks like and how much I play. Obviously the upcoming events and how important to finish, high up on that Order of Merit is here. Definitely the whole point of going to the Latin America Tour is, it's a good pathway to the US Tour eventually, and you go through Corn Ferry and you take the steps, and but all of a sudden I'd put some results on the board back here, and now the Australasian Tour looks really good. So it's changed a few things, but it's all exciting.
A bit of cash in the old skyrocket as well at the moment, mate. You are a rev head. How many cars have you got your eyes on at the moment?
I think Marketplace has failed on me a few times these last few days. The app keeps blowing up, but no, I think what I earned the last 2 weeks is what I earned in 4 years of cleaning golf carts at Brookwater. So I'm pretty happy with that ratio.
We'll turn our attention to Jed Morgan in a moment, because I just want to ask you a few questions about him. But just first off the top, who's got the better mullet, you or him?
Jed. I think mine. I wouldn't even classify mine as a mullet. I'm trying to grow it out a bit. I think there's a bit of action out the back, but there's a bit of action out the back. But I think between him and Cam, they can look after that stuff.
Let's take a look in the rearview mirror. Louis, you talked about a long 7 months away from home, but as I flagged, I think by anyone's estimation, a highly successful one. Probably we'll get into some specific events soon, but your overall reflections on a trip to the US, I suppose what it taught you in terms of the next steps required to lift your game to the necessary level, and how important you think that's been in your development in terms of a trip away and finding your own feet.
Yeah, 100%. I think at the start of that trip, I guess it's like anyone going away for that amount of time. I was probably a bit skeptical about being away and going away through the middle of the pandemic. So it was definitely a tough leap, but looking back on it, the amount of I guess good lessons learned, and a lot of the things that probably just don't get learned unless you've experienced it. Looking back on that, it's been huge to probably where I am, even today. So very, very grateful for all the support and the team behind me to put last year together. And, as a result, we had some nice results, and going forward, it's been huge. Going away through all of that was tough, and none of it was easy, but, it was nice to be able to have a laugh and catch up with some mates along the way.
Might be difficult to try and choose one or the other, and don't feel as though you have to, but can you separate what you think is more important in terms of the physical results? I mean, obviously some fantastic wins, or is it the experience as a whole and what you'll take from that in terms of your next few steps as a pro?
I think if you look at it over a career, like, I know a lot of guys, they always said to me, I got pretty caught up in the whole rankings thing as an amateur and trying to get as high as I could and feeling, hard done by in the system with the rankings. I think I probably got a bit caught up in that for a little while, but once I got over that and I realized, what's the point of trying to be strategical when you're getting all these experiences in every event you play in? So, the goal is always to win, but at the same time, if you're winning off the course and learning all these other things, I think you're just developing in different areas and in different ways. So there's lots of things that happened last year. Definitely a lot of things didn't go my way, and I learned and moved on, and it's been a fun journey. I guess it all makes sense looking back, and hopefully it's going to be the same looking back in another 12 months' time.
What did you learn about yourself, mate? It's a big trip to undertake, as a young fella, but what did you learn about yourself, whether it's your game or you personally? Was there anything that really stood out to you that you when you landed back in Oz?
I learned, I think I wrote this on Instagram, but I learned how many times I could wear a shirt before I needed to wash it. Obviously not having my mum or my girlfriend by my side to help me with that stuff was pretty difficult, but in all seriousness, I think I really enjoyed probably being on my own in a way. I think that was, as much as I had some good friends and family around overseas, having no schedule or, between events, or I guess you got to learn how to live over there, and you got to learn how to, because for 7 months, not just playing golf the whole time, I kind of got over the fact that I was not playing golf. I was literally living there. So that overcoming that, and once I realized, America is not the worst place in the world, and there's so many fun things to be doing, and just was able to enjoy myself in that regard, and I think I've been doing some work with Ben Crow, and a lot of the stuff he kind of helped me with. It was more of a mindset shift at the start of the trip, because going away for that amount of time, it all seems shit. It seems like you're leaving everyone behind. Seems like you're never going to see everyone again. And then turned it into this exciting journey and this adventure. It was more of an exciting adventure than anything. So by shifting my mindset there, it helped me enjoy the trip. Had some nice results along the way, which helped, but at the same time, didn't make the trip successful. It made it fun and enjoyable.
Well, success is probably a good word and a nice segue. The Dogwood Invitational. An incredible week for yourself out at Druid Hills there in Georgia, mate. To take a big trip, as I mentioned, like that, and then have taste success so early in the piece must have just made the whole process so much easier. And I bet you must have been bloody proud of yourself as well.
Yeah, definitely. It was, I'd competed earlier in the year, or early in 2021, but to head away into, different oceans and different waters was, to compete and to do well was, I guess, good to know, because I hadn't done it for a long time. And it's there's a lot of really good American college players. So for me to prove that to myself at the very beginning probably was a good help and a good bit of confidence to kickstart the trip.
It's an interesting, I suppose, concept though, right? Because you've taken yourself across the other side of the world, as Nathan mentioned, success so early on. But the last couple of minutes you've spoken about being very comfortable on your own and having to find your own way. So, and did you find it was almost beneficial that you won in isolation, so you kind of keep a lid on it? Maybe if you've got a large group around you and you've had success so early in the trip, your feet might start to float a little bit off the ground, but it's almost as if when you're on your own, you can appreciate it. It's a great effort, and I've done well, but I kind of have to be pretty squared on to kind of focus on to the next event. And so in many ways, almost being on your own is a benefit in that way too, in terms of keeping your head screwed on right.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the biggest thing about being away for a long time and I guess being a professional golfer is trying to just keep emotionally level. Way, I was pretty stoked. Gaz and I had a good celebration, and literally the next morning we're on a flight. Where did we go to? Up to the sunny Hana Amada, and I was just on such a buzz, such a high from that last week. I was definitely distracted leading into the next one, and all of a sudden you're not quite prepared for that next event, and your body's a bit tired. And I think it was actually a good lesson to learn, unfortunately, but in a good way. That you're cheering, you're stoked to win, and but at the same time you got to get back to business on the Monday straight after. So it's as much as same thing. You have a bad week, and you get straight back to work the next week, and you're doing your things to make things right for whatever's coming up next. And I think that's over a career, there's so many little things you learn about being, I guess, more so stoked than having the up and downs that golf brings.
How much of the trip did you have plot out before you left, and how much of it was adapting to kind of the environment that was ahead of you? Because I imagine, early success at the Dogwood maybe does open some doors that didn't necessarily plan for being out the trip.
Yeah, definitely. I think I had 5 events on the schedule when I left, all amateur events. When I left home, I think I was about 96 or like 99 in the world. So by winning the Dogwood, I think I dropped to like 65, and then I think I moved. The cutoff for the USM was like the week of the Sunny Hunt, and I somehow moved inside the top 50 cutoff. So, automatically after those 2 weeks, I'd opened up the US Amateur door, and to be able to go to Oakmont was pretty special. And then, because I think when I left home, I think we were only planning to go for about, I don't know, 12 weeks or so, just under 3 months. And then, all of a sudden, I'm coming home on Christmas morning, pretty much. So it was I guess a few things happened which were really nice, and the trip got more exciting as it went on.
The North and South Amateur, incredible. I was just looking back at some photos on Instagram then. I mean, it must have just been a whirlwind few days for you, mate. Like, what a famed tournament to have your name etched in the history books for. I mean, Pinehurst #2 in itself is, remarkable as a golf course, but just take us through what that moment was like where you win, and I guess everything that comes with the North and South Amateur.
Yeah, that was a very fun week. I've spent a lot of time in Pinehurst, very fortunately. I played like US kids golf events there and junior world stuff there growing up. So to be able to play there as an amateur and, in front of some really good friends and family there, actually, that was really cool and really special. And, I think I spent the week with Cam at the Travelers that week before. And there was a few things, I was watching him play that week, and there was a lot of things that I probably took away from that week that I guess internally motivated me to want to get to that next level. And obviously Cam's on another planet, but there's things that I picked up off him and that motivated me for that whole week. So to win there was really special, and that place is just a joke. Like, it's so much golf. It's golf heaven. So and of course the course was unreal. Like, it's absolute joke.
What's the sorry, KM?
No, you go, Teresa.
I was just gonna say, mate, what's it like playing Pinehurst #2? Like, it's
hard. It's brutal. It's brutal. I think in a way, we got quite the easier, I guess, conditions, if that's a thing around there. I mean, it was a bit softer, and the greens can be brutal even when it is soft. So, obviously the US Open there, I think the greens were firm, and there might have only been one guy under par for the whole week, and that's saying something about course design and course setup. So the greens there are a joke. So much fun. You really got to. I think a good golf course is a golf course where you really have to think about your misses, like where the ball goes if you're not hit it perfect. I think that's where your good golf courses come from, and I think that you find the really I don't know how you put this, but the golfers that can find a way around those kind of golf courses are, I think they can manage pretty good at the courses where you can get away with stuff.
You mentioned, I suppose, just the aura around a property like Pinehurst, and it's just golf, as you said, everywhere you look. Do you get a sense of history of the place when you walk through Pinehurst? Obviously, I don't necessarily think that Nathan or I will ever have that opportunity, Louis, and for a person who's been there a number of times will live vicariously through you. But it strikes me as maybe not to the level of a St Andrews or an Augusta, but certainly a place that has obviously an aura, but also steeped in that history of golf that is so rich there at Pinehurst.
Yeah, 100%. I think if there's any chance that you guys get over there, it's got to happen. Like you walk through the clubhouse and there's all the memorabilia of US Opens, and I guess more the story of how that place all came up, and there's the whole Payne Stewart thing that happened there, and just to think pretty much every grade of the game has been to Pinehurst at some point. So I think that whole aura around that week was very special, and I think I probably don't even appreciate this until now. Like the members of Pinehurst, the North and South is like of course they got the US Open, but that's like their members event. Like they all get behind it and all love it, and that says a lot to the appreciation that the members have for their course, and they understand the history of it. And I probably don't appreciate that until I speak of it. Like it's something you probably can't explain.
Louis, I think in our experience, having spoken to so many of you now, players generally fall in one of two camps. You either love golf, but it's not necessarily a means to an end, but it's something that you can get in and get out of, and kind of uncouple yourself quite easily from, or you're completely invested, a complete enough, and that includes the appreciation of things like architecture and design. You flagged those two words literally a couple of minutes ago, and you've played Pinehurst a number of times, most recently in the last couple of months, a place like Oakmont as well, which is a very special place. Do you allow yourself moments to when you're out there playing to just take a second to kind of look around and appreciate, I suppose, what you're walking through, or is it not something that you can really take stock of until I suppose some time after, like we're talking about now?
Yeah, I think that's one of the, it was definitely a challenge for me playing on some serious venues last year, was that, if you're thinking about all the people that have walked down that fairway, there's a good chance you're not going to be focused on what you're doing. And I was walking down Oakmont with my mate Gary, who was caddying, and there was a few holes where I'm like, oh, this is where, Dustin hit his shot, or this is where, like, and I got to the point where I'm like, geez, I probably should actually focus on, what Louis is doing this week rather than what all these other people have done. So, yeah, and when it came to tournament time, being able to switch that off and just think, all right, this is another golf course. This is, this is the cards I've been dealt. Let's just get on with it and do our stuff. And yeah, I think you got to have that appreciation, but you got to get it out of your psychology pretty quick.
What is it like playing in a USAM, mate? I mean, the pressure must just be next level. I mean, you've won, a couple of events by the time that you get to this point. I mean, you get through the stroke play and then unfortunately get knocked out in the round of 64, 2 down. I mean, you were the 48th seed going in. What's your expectations going into that week? What's that whole just week like? It must just be kind of chaotic in your head, as you sort of mentioned there.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of my mates actually said before I played the event, he's like, this is the USM is as close as what you're going to get in a PGA Tour event. And, I saw it that week. The USGA do a great job of literally everything. Obviously, the venues are the number one, but then your Pro Vs on the range, you got volunteers everywhere, you got walk-in scorers, you got rules officials in every group. Like there's something about it that's so well done. And that whole week, I think I probably put a bit of unintentional pressure on myself that I knew if I probably did well there, if I potentially won, I could have come home. And if not, what does the next few months look like after that? I think I had that all kind of going on in my head at the start of that week. And, to overcome, I guess, some anxieties and some, unintentional pressure on myself. I did a good job of playing golf, but at the same time, I probably put a lot of unintentional pressure on the whole week, and realizing that that's not the only way forward. I just think that I was trying to come home, kind of thing, if I'd done well there. So, especially given the situation that getting back and forth from Australia was so difficult, and not seeing everyone for a while, I think you got all these thoughts going on in your head, and you want to be home, you want to be around your friends and your family, and but at the same time, that whole expectation was to try and win, but I needed to realize that's just the goal. It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just do my stuff right, and whatever happens.
There appears from a distance, Louis, at an event like a US amateur to be almost a class distinction between amateurs, because there's your genuine AMs, and there's the guys who are almost professional AMs, quite well endorsed, albeit they can't necessarily accept money. They've got a comfortable life as an amateur, and they travel around to all these different amateurs, around the country, around the world. Do you notice that when you walk in? Do you notice the guys who's like, you probably shouldn't be here? Like, you probably could have taken a step up, 5 or 6 years ago, but you've lived a cushy amateur life.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some characters like that out there, but to be fair, to play that event, you've done something right. Obviously to get there, or to be exempt into that field. And I think that's what makes that event so fun, is that you get such a probably diverse quality of players. Like, you've got your top 50 that are generally the most competitive, but at the same time, anything happens in match play. Like, you get to match play, and it's anyone's game, anyone's day. So that whole week, everyone that's playing that week's so good. But then, you definitely notice the guys that take it more seriously, and I think there's some really cool stories that even people that I play with, coming from all over the world during the pandemic, and I think a lot of people could connect in that regard, and share some appreciation just to play some golf, and of course, a USM's pretty special.
A couple of months after that, mate, in November, you make the decision to turn pro. A very exciting announcement, obviously, for yourself and your team and your family. Was that always part of the plan, to sort of around that November timeline? How did things change? Who did you consult before that decision came about?
Yes, I think the plan was to always, try and turn pro at the end of last year. Obviously some good results through the middle section there helped, I guess, internally for me to plan that out. And where I was going to play, I had no idea, but I just wanted somewhere to get going and have a card. So I think we all sat down, my coach, management, mum, dad, we all just sat down and plotted some stuff out, and tried to think of the things that made the most sense. And we all agreed on something and went with it.
It's exciting announcement for yourself. I mean, it was so well received amongst the Australian golfing public as well. I think everyone knows your talent that they've seen. I mean, what were your reactions to everyone's reactions? I guess you must have just been so pumped by the way that everyone got around you, because I guess it had been a long time coming, everyone knowing the talent that you possessed.
It was fun. I had a lot of, I knew probably the reaction I was going to get when I announced it. So it was during Q school. I did it at the start of the week before my Latin America Q school, which was in itself probably a bit of a distraction. And I actually turned my phone off for most of that week. And I had messages coming from every direction, but it was, I had a job to do that week. And, it's nice to have some great support in Australia, and lots of friends and family I've met along the way. And to have people behind you is an awesome feeling. So, yeah, just trying to make everyone proud and do the right thing.
And then coming back to Australia, I mean, we touched on the Queensland PGA most recently, but the year 2022 started with the Aussie PGA. I mean, an incredible tournament in and of itself. I mean, we had Jed on the pod last week and we did all the results to death. But I mean, for you to come out and deliver a performance like that in the first tournament of the year was incredibly impressive. I mean, it doesn't get much better than starting with a dunked eagle on the second, I think, mate. I mean, is it all uphill or all downhill from there?
I don't know. I think it went uphill pretty quick, and then I had to kind of regather myself. I literally thought I flew it out of bounds, so I was pretty stoked to find out it went in. I mean, there's a 5-shot swing in that.
Yeah.
So, but no, that was pretty cool, and ended up playing pretty solid the rest of that round, and as the week went on, and played some good golf, and yeah, it was great to see Jed get up. That's it was an incredible performance. It kind of seemed like he was playing another golf course that week. So, yeah, obviously stoked for him. He's one of my best mates. So there's not many people I like to see win, but he's definitely one of them.
What do you think of RQ, mate? I must admit, I said this last week. I thought they did an outstanding job. Obviously, there was a fair bit of press at the time in the decision to take the tournament away from Royal Pines and take it to, one of the most exclusive clubs in southeast Queensland, but it was clear that the members took an awful lot of pride in hosting that event, and that the green staff did an exceptional job to get it up for the 4 days, because it almost got better as it went on, it seemed.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a credit to, I guess, to the whole team out there. They did a great job, and I think I spoke to quite a few members that week, and they were saying, people that might have been members there for 50 odd years, they'd say that's the best they'd ever seen the course. So a huge credit to the team they got around that place, and obviously the PGA for it's one of those golf courses. It's built for big events and built for people and grandstands and all that kind of stuff. So to see it actually all be there and all happen was, it's I guess just a pleasure to be a part of.
Course record 64 on the opening day, including a bogey on the 8th as well. As I'm just looking back at the scorecard. So. I mean, you must have been elated to be holding the course record for all of 24 hours.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even know about it until I heard Jed broke it the next day. So I wasn't too upset because I didn't even know I had it. So, but no, it was something to try and chase for the weekend, I guess. But anything mid-60s around there is pretty solid golf. It can be a absolute brutal setup. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that.
The only criticism that I think we all had last week on the pod, mate, was the champagne technique on the 18th when you came out. Didn't really work for you, did it?
I've got a good excuse.
I saw you looking in the bottle. You were going, "What's going on?"
Where is it? Is it only half full?
All right, what's the excuse?
So actually, I signed my card, and I was asking whoever it was down there. I was asking the PGA. I'm like, all right, I need to get some champagne ready for Jed. Anyway, they found some, and Casey Stoner was actually down there. I played in the Pro-Am with him, and he was out supporting the whole week. And I think out of all people, Casey Stoner is probably one of the best people to ask for champagne spraying advice. Anyway, he told me what to do. I did it all, perfectly, and everyone comes up, and I was pretty disappointed with my effort because it was pretty sad.
I think the term spaghetti arms was used to describe it last week in terms of your relative strength to actually get the champagne moving.
Yeah, no, it was apparently it was cheap champagne, so that's my excuse.
Right.
Well,
so
apparently
the good ones can.
I was going to say that wouldn't have come out of the fridge in the clubhouse, because that'd be all primo stuff there at Royal Queensland, I would have thought.
Oh yeah, you only get the top of the crop up there.
Yeah, tell me, you've mentioned his name a couple of times. Gary. Gary is your good friend and caddy. Gary is Gary Kissick, who people might know the name. He's certainly a lot more popular than you out at Royal Queensland, it seemed. Louis, I noticed. I don't know how. I mean, course record, you mentioned you didn't know about it, but standing greenside on the 18th on the Thursday, everyone was chanting Gary's name from the gallery on the grandstand on 18 when you walked up, not Louis. So Obviously a very popular guy. People may know him also as the fiance of the world #1 female tennis player in Ash Barty. So I suppose my first question is, how dirty are you that he brushed you for the Queensland PGA in order to go down and support his wife-to-be?
Yeah, I was a little bit headless. I think he's jeopardised his future in the bag with that. But no, he's a good mate of mine, and we have a lot of fun out there together. And it's pretty funny listening to some of the shit people are saying in the crowds, and it's funny because they think we all care as much as what they're trying to get out of us. They think we really care about and find it funny what they're saying. So I think it was a bit of a joke of ours that there was some very drunk people and yelling out some funny stuff. So
wasn't there ever? I wonder. I've always been curious about how you go about selecting a caddy, because often it's either they say that opposites attract, and if you're a pretty level-headed person, you need someone with a bit of energy on your bag. But from a distance, it certainly seems like you and Gary are pretty cool, calm, and collected, and you're probably not getting a lot of rev up out of Gary if you need it. So how does that dynamic work for you on the course? And I suppose what transformed from a good friendship to that partnership on the course? Because obviously he's quite a handy golfer himself.
Yeah. No, I think for me with a caddy, I like to have someone that I can, spend a week with, or spend 6 hours straight with, and be able to have a laugh with them. I find it quite draining to not probably have a laugh in that amount of time. So, it helps that Gaz and I get along really well, but at the same time, I can lean on him when I need it. Like he knows enough golf to, for me to ask questions and for me to reach out. But at the same time, he's there to have a laugh and to keep us, I guess, focused on the task at hand.
Did you get the same out of Chris Crooks, who was on the bag for you this week? Because I'm just trying to understand, if Gary's not available, what are the prerequisites for me to get a start? If it's just to be funny, I think I can potentially manage that over 6 hours. But what I lack in golf knowledge, potentially I can make up for in jokes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's one of the prerequisites. I think if you can make me laugh, I think that's you may as well just have the job now, I guess.
That will be the worst week of your life.
Be long.
Yeah, long week. Whatever you do, we just the conversations that Gary and I have out there we should just never be mic'd up. Some of the conversations we have are just career ending.
Oh, that's very good. Where do you want to finish, KM? I've got one question here it's not even a question. It was more just a comment that came from Jed Morgan to ask you about the nickname Atlas and where that came from. And if you'd like anything sort of right of return back to Jed.
Yeah, so apparently I promised the world and deliver an Atlas, they reckon. So I think there's a few people that probably could agree with that, but
I think there's a proviso there. He did say that it's only when you've had a few tins that you promise the world to deliver an Atlas.
No, I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know what he's talking about.
I must admit, I'm very much looking forward. So we've had Jed's side of the story. We've now had your side of the story. I'm most looking forward to Jack Thompson's side of the story, who apparently is the creator of the nickname Atlas, and that's coming in the next couple of weeks. So I think of all three recounts of that story, it's Jack's that I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, I think whatever you do, you just shouldn't bring up any table tennis. I think we in Orlando we got a new nickname for Jed. We call him. So we had this pretty much big tournament, and his name became Jabaya because he was a buy match pretty much every time we played him. So it was Jabaya or Bison DeChambeau, we called him. So he can give me all the shit he wants, but his table tennis game needs to seriously get picked up. However, Jack Thompson can seriously play ping pong, and I don't want you to talk about ping pong with him because he flogged me the whole trip.
Okay, deal. Just with Jabaya, Bison.
Yeah, Bison. That's it.
Couple of quick ones for me to finish. You mentioned Ben Crow a little earlier. and it was on my list because I've noticed you starting to feature a little bit more prominently on Ben's Instagram feed of late. For people who aren't familiar with Ben Crowe, former Nike executive turned mindset coach, he's worked with some absolutely elite performers on his books, including Ash Barty, funnily enough, Dustin Martin, and a number of members of the Richmond Football Club, Dylan Alcott, Steph Gilmore, Alex Carey, most recently I saw on his Instagram, and one Louis Dobbelaar. So can you tell us how the Ben Crowe relationship came about and what it is that you, I suppose, get? Because from afar, I can tell you in the 40-odd minutes we've spoken to you, and this is certainly not a criticism of the first time we spoke, but you seem very level comparatively. And it's almost eerie how similar it is to you hear Ash Barty talk about how results are what they are. It's not the most important thing about what I do. I'm getting a lot of that out of what you've spoken about in the last 40 minutes about trying to, remain as level as humanly possible.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I'm very fortunate, first of all, to have, Crowe in my corner and someone to be able to lean on and talk to. He's, I think someone said it before, everything he says, you just want to write down. Like he's literally a talking gospel. So, I'm very fortunate to have him in my corner. And I think a lot of the things he's helped me with have been, his whole work is all to do as an athlete, or separating the athlete to the person. I'm a person first and a golfer second. So I think once I, connected with that emotion and realized that golf's just what I do, it's not who I am, I think that helped me, switch on and off appropriately with golf and life. So, Ash is, changing the world with some of the press conferences she does. She changes the way people think about tennis and professional sports in general. So, for Ben, I know by spreading the message from, his athletes and some of his high profile people, he wants to, spread that message and spread the love and the joys of the sports and life we have.
A couple of more quick ones. I noticed something for the first time on a photo. Actually, I think it might have been from the Queensland PGA. You're rocking the Roman numerals tattoo on the inside bicep. I don't know. I'm halfway through this question. Realize maybe I shouldn't have asked it. Don't know if you feel comfortable in sharing, but what are the Roman numerals of?
So I've got on my arm, I've got my family. So I've got my mum, dad, and sister's birth dates. I've got some more Roman numerals on my, right outer area. So I got birth dates here, and I got 32 not out on my right arm. So that's obviously for a tribute of my good mate Joshy. So, that's me paying my little tribute, and I know he's going to be there with me the whole journey. So.
Well, I don't know if Josh is actually steering this conversation, because it's a perfect segue to my final question, and that was asking you a little about the tribute on your bag to Josh, which I noticed while I was out there at the PGA at Royal Queensland. And I suppose to take a step back, we were very fortunate to have Brad, Josh's older brother, on the show not all that long ago, and we replayed at the very beginning of that for Brad the 4 or 5 minutes of your episode, your first episode, where you were, very open with us and sharing your story with Josh, and I think comfortably for the two of us, it's probably the best thing that we've done on this podcast is give you the space to tell that story, because clearly conversing with you and then getting to know Brad, both through his episode and then a bit away from the podcast as well, it's clear how special a person Josh was. So I suppose for you, the thinking behind having that cheeky little character face on your bag and how special that is for you to know that, obviously he's on your arm, he's on your bag, he's clearly, obviously, also with you through every step of your journey.
Yeah, 100%. I think, just little things like that, to me, it's not something I'm trying to promote or advertise. I think he's a person that left a dent on me and left a good mark, for my future and what I want to do as a golfer and as a person. So, having that little emoji on my bag's been it's a good addition. It makes my bag look pretty cool, and I know that Joshy he probably wouldn't like being on my golf bag, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all, and I think that the power of dedicating my career to someone has been, something you can't really explain. It's some kind of energy I get from it that makes me feel special and makes me want to, do something for someone else rather than myself. And obviously, I'm motivated to do all this, and he's just been the person that always would give me a kick in the ass and tell me that I had some. So it's all very special, and I'm sure I'd be smiling up there having a beer watching over these last few weeks.
And certainly, without wanting to put words in your mouth, Louis, but maybe the best part about it will be that you'll get to tell the story of Josh Moore, because people will ask you, what's that about? What's that for? And if you can tell, people the way you told us and the way that Brad spoke to us about Josh, like if that question comes up for you around the world when you're playing golf and you get to tell a few more stories about your good mate, that has to be a good result. Yeah,
100%. I think, the whole thing to me is it's not a chore. It's something that genuinely, I love the bloke, and genuinely had a connection there, and I love to just keep his legacy going, and maybe it's one day that I am able to inspire someone else to do what they love and have fun doing it. So it's and by no means is it a chore. It's something that I believe in, and I love to keep his legacy going.
Well, it's been a pleasure, mate, to have you back on. We've thoroughly enjoyed it, just about as much as we've enjoyed tracking your progress in these past 7 or 8 months. It's obviously still a little ways to go in this summer, but as we said at the start, you keep going the way you're going, and we should not only see you in Latin America next year, but also in Europe, and really looking forward to continuing to keep an eye on your eyes and hopefully continuing to have these conversations semi-regularly.
Yeah, 100%, boys. I'm happy to chat anytime. So, there's plenty of things I'm sure we can all talk about.
Not least of which is Jabai's table tennis.
Yeah, Jed Morgan. He's useless on that table. So,
good man, Louis. Wish you all the best for the rest of the summer, mate, and we'll chat again soon. Thanks for joining us again.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for having me.